and start adding some details. So I want this pinky fleshy color, and I'm just gonna add some highlights that follow the side of the pumpkin, follow the shape of the pumpkin. I'm gonna blend these ones in a little bit more. I don't want them that sharp. Gotta have a couple giant pumpkins in here after all. Okay. Now we're going to take a little bit of our brown color. Let's use burnt amber. Okay. We're gonna mix our dark orange with a tiny bit of this brown. We just want a really shadowy, dark orange color. Just like that. Okay. I'm gonna clean off my brush, make sure you're only picking up the mixed color. And we're gonna fill in exactly where our cracks and crevices would be in the pumpkins. So be right about here and here. This one's probably just gonna be right here. This one's gonna be right here. Right here. Gonna pick up some of this orange and blend in this spot right here. Okay, I'm gonna rinse that off. Some more brown. Okay. I'm gonna add a little of this, some more orange into this brown. And then touch up down here a little bit. Okay. Now feel free to touch up any little spot you think that needs it. We're gonna go through our bottom pumpkins now with that bright yellow and that sandy color. We're gonna add a little highlight onto the tops of these now. Okay. Now get your brush damp and we're just gonna clean up the lines a little bit. I'm gonna smooth them out. Add any little extra details you want to add. Don't forget your texture. Okay. I'm going to use my 3 round brush now. And going in for the brown unmixed, that burnt umber. And we're just going to add some little notches wherever our little stems are. And these are all on a vine, so remember, they can be long and wispy, because in just a minute we're going to connect them. Okay. Now, we're going to get just the thinnest amount on the brush. And we're going to just drag and make some vines, wiggle. Let me see if I can move you so you can see this better. You can make a couple little branch offs too. Okay. Now the top's going to be a little bit smaller, not as prominent. Let's go ahead and make all of our little stumps. And they don't all have to face the same direction. It can be your typical looking pumpkin or atypical. Doesn't have to be one or the other. I'm going to touch this one up down here a little bit. Okay. Okay, I'm gonna rinse my brush. Reposition this so you can see it all here. We're just gonna make it look like it's going behind a little bit. Okay, now we'll add a little wispies coming off our vines. Okay, I'm gonna move you again. Okay. I'm gonna touch up this pumpkin down here. Got a little brown on him, and I don't want that much brown on him. There we go. And I'm gonna close this off right here so it looks like it goes behind. And I'm gonna add a little highlight on the top of this pumpkin so it looks like those pumpkins are not blending together. Okay. Now we're going to add our green leaves. So pumpkin leaves are unique colors, so we're going to mix these two colors. Let me flip this back around to my green side. I forgot to scrape those paints off before they dry. So we're going to actually blend these together, so we don't need to set the two separately. So we're going to do a good amount of the light green, a small amount of this muted green, and we're actually going to use our blending tool this time. Oh yeah, that is the color I want. See that color? That's the color we're going for. Well, I'm going for. You can pick whatever green you want. But if you're following along, that's the color that I'm going for. Okay, so let's use this brush. We're going to use our 1/8 flat brush. If the camera can focus. So this is what it looks like. Itty bitty. And we're going to start in the back and work our way down this time. So we're going to just take the smallest amount on our brush, and we're just going to do some leafy dots around our pumpkins up here. So I want to give it the illusion that it's too far to see the vines, but you can still see the greenery around the pumpkins. And this could be a good place to cover anything that you didn't necessarily like about some of the other pumpkins that you have up here. Okay. Now, I'm just going to kind of dot around in the background a little bit with basically nothing on my paintbrush. Just a little remnants of the green left over on this paintbrush. And if you need to pick up a tiny bit, just kind of tap most of it off before you apply it to the canvas. Okay, I'm gonna blend some of these out a little bit so they're not so sharp. Alrighty, now you can do pumpkin leaves. Pumpkin leaves kind of have well, it's 1 point, but 3-ish humps. So for this row, let's make them kind of teardroppy shape, because you can't really see them very well. And we can just put those wherever we want on the vines. And we can do smaller little dots for buds. Okay, these ones will make a little bit bigger, so I'm actually going to try and make the shape. So dot, little hump, little hump. And they're leaves, so they can point in all different directions. Okay, now we're going to take our light olive green. It's kind of a neon-y green here. Tiniest little bit amount. We're going to add some of the vines and the highlights in our leaves. And if you have a thinner brush, grab a thinner brush. My itty bitty teeny tiny detail brush here only has like 2 bristles on it, so I'm not going to use that, but you could use that. I'm just not patient enough for it. So I'm going to keep using my tiny detail brush. So get the smallest amount of paint on there as you can. And we're just going to go inside these leaves and make little vines and highlights. Only in the first row. And they don't have to be super prominent. Okay, now I'm going to take a little bit and just do a couple little swooshes, just the tiniest bit, not actually lining the vines, but just adding a little bit of this color up in these leaves so you can still see them. Just like that. I'm going to add a little bit more of our green over here. So I want to add a tiny bit more green up in the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a feather brush and not every bristle, but the majority of the bristles, I'm going to get some of that green paint on. So kind of like this, if you can see it. And then we're just gonna tap around these pumpkins up here. Just like that. That's it. Okay, we're gonna let this dry and come back to it.